Hey everybody, this is going to be our first actual set of notes that I would like you to make sure you're focusing closely and paying attention on. If you want to jot things down, that's a great idea too. You can also fill out your note guide, your note sheet that comes with Unit 1. I would like you to fill out as we go through. You'll notice that there might be a couple of terms. So I try to underline and bold any vocab terms that are super important. Um, Today we're going to start out with what's called the 5 themes of geography. These themes are going to be themes that come up throughout the entire course. They're like main general concepts that are very important, okay? So everything ultimately is going to connect back to these 5 themes. So in this particular set of notes, I'm going to go through just these first two, the concept of place and the concept of region. When you look at the word region, by the way, make sure you don't think it accidentally says religion, because there's a big difference between region and religion. Um, but there's also location, movement, and then the fifth one, which is a really long one, it's called human environment interaction. Okay, so we'll get into those other three in the notes to come, but for now, we're just going to be starting out with place and region. So let's get going so that this doesn't end up being a 100-hour video. So theme 1 is called place. Okay. Um, Simply put, it's just what it looks like when you get there. Okay. What do you know a place for? Right. What is Beloit known for? Okay. So what are the certain things that you will actually find there? Okay. So there's two key vocab terms. Notice that they're bolded and underlined, so they're probably pretty darn important. Um, we have what is called site and situation. Okay, site, right? If you ever heard of like a construction site, a building site, that's what is specifically physically there. Okay, it's the physical features, rivers and lakes. It's the characteristics, the climate. Okay. Remember, by the way, just a side note, climate is different from weather. Climate is a year-round kind of all-encompassing thing, right? Wisconsin, for example, we have warm, humid summers. We have cold, snowy winters. That is our climate. Weather is like today is 72 degrees and cloudy, or in the winter, right? Today we are expecting 3 inches of snow and it's going to be 16 degrees, right? That is weather, it's the day to day things, but climate is more of the seasonal year round expectations, okay? So everything that is physically at a place, if you were to be plopped, I don't know, out of a helicopter, you dropped down to the ground, you looked around, what is it that you're going to see? And that is sight. Situation, on the other hand, right, is what is situated nearby. What is the stuff that's around you? Okay, and how do those things connect? Right. So the situation of Beloit, right, we are situated very close to Janesville. We're situated very close to the Illinois border. That is our situation, but it's also the ways that things are connected, right? Um, the Rock River connects us with other parts of the county, right? The fact that we are near Illinois means that we have certain connections and access to certain things that we wouldn't if we lived in, say, Texas. Okay, um, so that's basically that was your overview of place. Okay, that was a quick one. We are going to go into regions now. Okay, so it's theme number 2. By the way, the order doesn't really matter. Okay, so it's not like you need to know it. Okay, theme 1 is this, 2 is it. Doesn't matter what the 5 what the order is of the 5. Okay, but regions, right, is something that helps to break the world into smaller kind of bite-sized chunks, right? So rather than referring to just a set of places, we might refer to them by an entire region, right? We talk about South America, right? We talk about the Midwest. Okay, there's some sort of connected, similar characteristics held by those places. Okay, and you can have a really big region, or you can have a really small region, or anything in between. A large one would be, continent by continent, or it could be something like the South Pacific. We're looking at, there's dozens of little tiny island countries in the South Pacific. But the South Pacific is a huge, if you're looking at miles, thousands of miles in area. And then you could have really small regions. Okay, the Midwest, right? It's made up of Wisconsin and Illinois and Iowa and Indiana and other states, right? That would be a small region, at least when compared to much larger ones. Okay, the school district of Beloit, um, right? That's that connected thing. That's the connecting element. So every school district and all the places that are served by the school district are going to be part of that region. Okay, and then sometimes you have what are called subregions. It's regions inside of a region. Right? You break it down from a continent to a smaller region to a smaller region yet, right? You could have regions and regions and regions. Okay? Um, so they can be economic, they could have some sort of environmental connection, they could have a historic connection, that could be the similarity, cultural, geographic, whatever it happens to be. But there are three types of regions. Okay? And these get a little bit tricky, but I'll just give you a heads up right now. Geographers are annoying because they like to have multiple names for the exact same thing. So really, I'm gonna refer to them by the first one: formal, functional, perceptual. But they do have um, another name for the same thing. So I'm just gonna quiz you on the one. But I mean, it's not a bad idea to know the other name for it too, in case you see it in the future. But a formal region is a clear and definitive region. There's no question of when you enter that region and when you exit that region. There's no like blurry lines on it. It's you're either in this region or you're not, right? Countries in the Pacific Ocean, right? If your country is in the Pacific Ocean, boom, you're part of that region. There's no questions about it, right? Um, if you're not in that region, then it's very clear, okay? Um, Countries that have a Muslim majority, okay? Well, all you have to do there is look at the country's religious population, and if 51% or more people are Muslims in that country, boom, you're part of this that particular region, okay? Then we have what is called a functional region. And functional regions are connected by some sort of node or feature or function, is what they literally will call it. So there's something like one little element that serves as like a start point, and everything kind of comes back to that thing. So it could be something like a cell phone service provider, a cell tower, right? Anyone that is serviced by that cell phone tower automatically now becomes part of that region because they're connected by that function, that node, that thing. Okay. The example I put on here: states that touch the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River, it's a very long, winding river, 1,000+ miles. But any state that is fed, watered, whatever you want to call it, by the Mississippi River, if you're touching the Mississippi River all along the way, right? Missouri and Wisconsin touches the Mississippi, and Mississippi obviously touches the Mississippi River. Those states would be part of that functional region. And then the last one is called a perceptual region. Your perception of something is like your personal perspective or belief. Okay, it's based on your personal view. It is there. There's no right or wrong. Okay, so if I said the South, right, you might think that the South includes Oklahoma. I might say, no, it doesn't. We can fight about it, but it's pointless, right? Because as long as there's some sort of degree of logic behind including it as that region, then we're good, right? So we don't have to agree on perceptual regions. Now, you wouldn't say, like, New York is part of the South. Like, there would definitely be a right or wrong answer on that one. But the South is not a very definitive thing, right? The Middle East, okay? There's some countries that people are like 100% of people might agree with, like Iraq is part of the Middle East. But then there might be others who are like, well, is Turkey part of the Middle East? Or is that associated with Europe, right? So there's no official right or wrong answer, okay? Just give you a couple more quick examples of each of these, and then we'll be out of here. So formal regions, again, the whole area shares a uniform, or it's a uniform, consistent thing. there's at least one factor that is clearly the same. There's distinct boundaries, right? A U.S. state, right? It's all governed by New York's state government. So you know that those boundaries make New York is its own region. Okay. Um, Functional, like I mentioned before, this is a cell phone coverage map. Um, this is the map of the Nile River. So kind of like the same example I had with the Mississippi River, but this time it's within Africa, right? Egypt is part of the Nile River region. Sudan is part of the Nile River region because it's all it comes in contact with the Nile River. Okay, and you can pause this at any time if you want to explore any of this further. And then the vernacular region or the perceptual region, whatever you wanted to call it. Again, this is how some people would break up the United States into regions or chunks. Again, I might be like, no, I think that Utah is actually part of the Southwest. Okay, we don't have to fight about it, right? We don't need to get into a big fist fight. We don't need to get into a Facebook debate about it. We just need to say, all right, that's your perception, and this is my perception, and then we can move on. All right. And so, at the global level, throughout this class, I'm going to be referring in general to regions of the world. Okay. And when I do it, it's most likely going to be perceptual regions, right? When I refer to the Middle East, I'm referring in general to this area. Okay. When I refer to North America, we refer to this area. Is Mexico part of North America? Technically, but some would call that. Well, no, we're going to call this Latin America. And so, because of the Latin culture and the Latin connection, well, suddenly Mexico gets put into this different grouping. Okay, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and East Asia. There's so many people that live there that we kind of, rather than just saying Asia, because if I said Asia, that's way too big of a region, right? That could include people from Afghanistan and it could include people from North Korea. There's almost nothing in common between people in those two parts of the world. So we like to break things down into bite-sized, manageable pieces. Okay? So when I ask here, do you agree with this map? That's a rhetorical question, right? I mean, some of you, I can't imagine any of you are like mad right now. You're like, I can't believe that they included Russia where they did, right? Again, there is no absolute definitive right or wrong. If there's not some sort of measurable, specific characteristic, then we can't have a formal region. So these are the regions of the world in general. We can disagree, we can agree, but they kind of at least provide a rough framework. Okay? And then I ask here, what do you think is represented by these particular regions? I'll give you a second just to think. Obviously, I can't hear you because you are at home. Don't call me up. But if you look at it, right, what is in common by all these purple places, right? You might think, what does Canada have in common with South Africa and Argentina and New Zealand, right? What could there possibly be in common? What could be in common about these green countries? So I'll give you the answer, and I thought that I had the ability. I guess I'll just move this box away. Might be hard for you to read it, but these are different religions. Okay, so these are religion regions. So all the purple is the parts of the world that practice Christianity. Okay, the main religion is Christianity in the purple regions. Islam is most common in the green areas. You've got actually, this is like atheist or non-religious over here. So we'll look at religion specifically later. But just know you can break things down into any kind of regions that you want, and it just helps to make things more manageable. So that's it for today. Right? We've talked about those two themes of geography. First two, we have place and we have region. So let me know if you have any questions. Peace out.